it down. But of course, that can be a very frightening thing for a 1-3. And it's one of the things you'll see in 1-3 relationships. Remember, these are personal destiny people. One thing you'll see in 1-3 relationships is that when the relationship, the basic foundation of the relationship becomes unstable, it's their unconscious that wants to not simply fix the relationship. It does not. It inherently sees that the relationship is already a mistake, that it's a trial and error that didn't work, and that it's deeply pessimistic that it can actually be saved in any way, and that it's better to just simply end it. Now you can imagine what that's like in our society when you're dealing with people who are unaware and they're carrying that kind of profile, and that kind of profile is common. It goes back to them having to have a solid foundation. Now she's a projector. She has to be invited, just to be invited in order to enter into the banquet of life. There is no other way. Remember yesterday I talked about these various formulas of the way in which types deal with each other. Now there's a hierarchy in everything. And when you have a projector and you have a generator together, it is the generator that has to begin the process because they're the energy type. And it's the generator that has to invite the projector, and then the projector has to come back and say, did you really want to invite me? Or are you just being nice? You know? In other words, you have to play out the formula. If you play out the formula, it's correct. But there are hierarchies. Now remember something. It doesn't mean that you have to remember that. And it doesn't mean you have to train, if you're a generator, all those projectors or vice versa. It's not about that. If you're living out your design and you enter into things correctly, you'll see that's the way it will work. It's just the way it'll work. That's the mechanics of it. Projectors. It's important to remember that projectors can be deeply complex and highly energized without being an energy type. She's a classic example. 3 different motors that are defined, that are connected to each other in that split, and yet she has no direct access to the throat, and there's an undefined sacral center. Also to recognize that if you have somebody that has an undefined sacral center, that the sexual strategy in their life is totally dependent on their partner. The way Charles is going to activate her sacral center, the way he's going to condition it, that's the only way that she's going to be able to know sexuality. You know, she is sexy in the sense out of the solar plex, but she does not know how to handle her sexuality because she has an open sacral center. Remember, they're very different things. Don't confuse them. So this open sacral in her case